And the floodgates open.
Okay. Welcome. We ask that you please take the survey that is being placed in the chat. We'll be getting started shortly. Please take a moment and fill out the survey that is in the chat. Good evening. Once again, thank you for joining us tonight. We'll be getting started in about 1 minute. If you haven't had a chance to take our pre-survey, you can scan the QR code on the screen, or you can use the link that is in the chat. Once again, good evening and welcome. My name is Dr. Siobhan Chambers-Williams, and I have the privilege of serving as the co-director for the All of Us research program for Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. For the survey, you are placing BGLC as the organization. And so for those that may be joining us for the first time, I'm just going to share a very brief video that shares what is this All of Us program all about. So 1 second.
All across the country, people are coming together. All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us research program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
All right, so as the video shared, the goal of the All of Us research program is to have 1 million, yes, 1 million volunteers from all walks of life as we look to have precision medicine. So when you think about precision medicine, it's actually not that complicated. Myself and Sora Crystal Brown are actually wearing precision medicine. If you wear glasses, you have a prescription that is unique to you. But when you think about the different medications that are out there, and sometimes it works for you, but it doesn't work for other people, that's because the medication is more a one size fit all. And so all of us is looking to learn what makes each of us unique. I'm 36 in New Jersey. What about that 36-year-old in Texas? Do we have similarities that can help make the medicine and the treatment we receive more unique and better suited for us? So we hope that tonight you're in for a treat. And so I'm going to turn it over to my counterpart, Sora Crystal Brown.
Good evening, everyone. We are so happy that you were able to join us tonight for our Health is Wealth Series 2.0. We are back again with some fan favorites from last year. We will be joined by two wonderful professionals and members of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. And so I will introduce them now. Dr. Rosemarie Fargalo is the International Director of Zeta Sings the Blues, our sorority's mental health initiative. With over 25 years in Zeta, she was initiated through Iota Eta Zeta chapter and now serves the Rho Epsilon Zeta chapter in Georgia. She is also the proud mom of a Zeta legacy. In her professional life, she has over 25 years experience in the field of mental health, concentrating in resiliency and the effects of negative events. She is a school psychologist in Georgia and also has a private practice and consultant for the state of Georgia. Our other guest, Dr. Ebony Coney, is the international co-director for Zeta Sings the Blues Mental Health Initiative. She was initiated through Rho Alpha chapter at Hampton University and serves as president of Upsilon Alpha Zeta chapter in Florida. Dr. Coney has a wealth of experience working with youth and families in the child welfare system, young victims of commercial sexual exploitation, child maltreatment, domestic violence, co-occurring diagnosis and substance abuse within residential treatment programs, juvenile justice programs, foster group homes, and the community. She is the national and local speaker and trainer on mental health, trauma, human trafficking, and social impact capacity. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Dr. Rosemary Fargalo and Dr. Ebony Coney.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I hope you had an awesome day. And thank you for coming to spend some time with us, where we're going to talk about balance and mental health. Having good mental health is important for a happy life. And I keep saying that to everybody all the time. And I have to say it to myself sometimes as well. You can't enjoy all the beautiful moments and the nice things that happen in your life if you don't have good mental health. Because if you don't have mental health, it blocks all those nice things that you see, all those beautiful days, all the beautiful people, all the nice weather, all the beautiful scenery. All that gets put in the background when you don't have good mental health. So in our world, however, when we are always busy, there is work, there are deadlines, there are issues in our professional and personal lives, we tend to feel overwhelmed, and this leads to an unbalanced life. And when you have an unbalanced life, most likely you don't have good mental health. So we are about having good mental health. And with all the other things that happen in regular life, of course, we've had the pandemic that jumped in and just messed all of us up even more. So we have to be really intentional at this point to make sure that we balance this life, because we have all this stuff that's coming in that's going to throw us offside and off balance. So we have to make sure that we are intentional about balancing our lives, so we're going to have good mental health. Dr. Coney?
Well, Dr. Fargalo, I was thinking about what you were saying about the balanced life and how we need things in balance. And right now with the pandemic and everything, we've been out in balance for a little bit. And a lot of times when we're in balance in our lives, what else comes in balance? Our diet. So that's one of the things as we thought about this presentation and how do you balance your mental health? And sometimes people still have challenges adjusting to mental health and really the impact of it. So we thought about bringing it from the perspective of your diet. What's on your plate? So let's think about comparing our regular diet to our mental health diet and taking this to assess it. So as we go through, just sit for a second and think, what is currently on your plate? Now, do you have that small portion of protein that they tell us to eat with those carbohydrates, the fruit, the vegetables, that balanced diet where the vegetables are supposed to be more than the carbohydrates? I know my plate doesn't always look like that, right? Or do you have the plate where you want the shrimp scampi, the chicken parmesan, and the ribeye, and the mashed potato? So we have to think about it from that perspective. If we think about that, what we are consuming in that regard is not necessarily a healthy diet. Maybe every now and then you might splurge, but not on an ongoing basis. So now let's make that comparison to what you are ingesting mentally. What are you watching? What are you reading? How are you spending your time? What is on your plate? Thinking about the people who you are spending your time with. What's their energy like? What's their spirit like? Is it something that is good for your diet? The things that you are taking in on social media. How much time are you putting in on social media? Are you saying, I'm going to just review real quick for 30 minutes and be done because I got to check and see what's going on? Or are you spending hours and hours and hours? Because then if you're doing that, then you're neglecting other aspects of your life, whether it is your fitness goals or your diet goals. So those are we think now, how are you spending your time
and what is on your plate. So usually when you're thinking about your plate, one of the things they tell you is remove the junk food because junk is not healthy for you on an ongoing basis. So as we think about that, what are the things that you have to remove for you to have that balanced, healthy diet? Or is it family members? Because sometimes we love them, but we might have to love them from afar because they throw off our balance. Or you might have to love them and see them for short periods of time. You might not be able to stay for a whole week. You might just be able to do a good 24 hours and be gone because what you are ingesting from those individuals are not good for you and it's throwing off your balance. As we said, what are you reading? Some of the things that you're reading and you're taking in, how are you looking at replacing them? So now, if you have a toxic friend, a toxic partner, are you then able to say, you know what? I'm not getting what I really need from this interaction. I don't feel good after I talk to you. I might feel a little bit irritated. So now you got to go do something to feel good. Or you replace that with a tutor or a mentor because you still have goals that you are working on in your life. So, how do we remove those toxic people and replace them with those individuals? How do we sit and look? What are we reading? What are we looking at? Are we looking at self help books, motivational books, inspiring books, things that give us joy, things that contribute to our own personal growth and development? Because it's not short term, it's an ongoing journey. So that's where I would start at, Dr. Fargalo, as we start to look at what we're taking in so we can remove the junk from our lives.
One of the things, Dr. Coney, that I have to mention, and as you are talking, I'm listening to it and I'm thinking, it's not easy to do that. It is not. We are here and we are saying, do this and do that. But please know that we are both professionals and we know that this is not an easy task that we're asking you to do. For example, there are people who get up every morning and go to a job that they absolutely hate. And there are reasons why they hate this job. But they have a mortgage, they have a car payment, they may have kids in school. There are, they got bills. We all have bills. So knowing that we need to get away from this, it is still very difficult because we are in a situation. But that's where goals come in. That's where having a mentor comes in. That's where going to a therapist to talk through things come in. No one is saying, neither one of us is saying, this is so easy, you can just do it. No, a lot of times you need help to do it. You need help to see the big picture. You need help to see your options. But if you are in a situation that things are sapping your energy, you're unhappy, you cannot give of yourself, you cannot be the best you can be, which is something we should always strive to be the best we can be. If we have children, we can't give of ourselves, all of us. If we have our families, husbands, spouses, boyfriends, girlfriends, significant others, whomever, families, we cannot give the best if we are in a situation where our mental health is not good. It's not what it should be. So, and even though sometimes, there's a backstepping. I know, for example, it's my example. I know that a whole lot of sweet carbs are not good for me. I know this. I know it. And sometimes I'm good. I'm real good. And sometimes, man, that cake looks so good. I can't let it go. That's not good. The one thing, though, that I have to realize, and that you have to realize also, is that you don't look back. Yesterday you did this. Okay. All right. You forgive yourself. You do not go and stress out on the fact that yesterday I ate that extra piece of pie. Because what happens when you get stressed? You turn to what you like and what you know, which is more pie. So that's not what you do. What you do is say, well, yesterday was yesterday. So today I might walk an extra mile, half a mile, whatever you can do. And this time I'm going to be more intentional about what my diet looks like. And you do not, one of the things that you try not to do is to blame yourself, is to hold yourself accountable for things that are in the past, for mistakes that are in the past. You are just stressing out yourself, and there's no way to correct it. You know, past life is one of the things that comes not back. There's a poem about that I used to say. But one of the things is your past life. So if you can't bring that back and you can't change it, but yet you're stressing yourself about what you did yesterday, last week, last month, last year, then you're not helping your mental health. So what you do is you look forward. Okay, I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to try my best not to do that again. And you move forward. And how do I make up for that? I'll just do something that I know is good for me. So one of the things I want you to remember, if you don't remember anything else, I expect you to remember everything else but that. But this is one of the favorite ones, okay? Do not look back. Stop looking back, okay? Look forward, we're going forward, moving forward. We setting goals, okay? And we are moving in the direction deliberately to good mental health. Just as we do with physical health, and we know it's a process. You know, it's a process. You don't start eating better, eating well, and all of a sudden you drop 25 pounds. That does not happen. That only happens in the commercials. Because they want you to spend your money, okay? If you believe that, hey, somebody gonna send you a bridge. So don't believe that. It doesn't happen right away. So it's the same thing with your mental health. It takes a while. Give yourself time. Be patient with you. You know how you like people to have patience with you? Well, have patience with yourself. Start with you. Treat yourself the way that you would like others to treat you. Don't beat up on yourself and then want someone to be kind and patient with you. No, do it yourself first and others will follow. Teach people how to treat you. Dr. Coney?
Wow, those are some nuggets, Dr. Fargalo. So we got checking and assess what's on your plate, moving forward.
Huh?
And what was the other one you just said?
Be kind to yourself. Know that it is a process.
No, that is a process. I'm going to add to that, Dr. Fargalo, learning to let people down. I'd like to add that for just a second. If we sit and explore that, because a lot of times when we are doing this balancing act and we're putting so many things in our plate, it's hard to say no. It's hard to let go, and it's hard to let other people down. But as you make a process and go through this process, sometimes as part of that process, you do let other people down. And not that it's because it's intentional, not that because you want to hurt anyone, but if you continue saying yes to all of these other obligations, how are you then saying yes to yourself? Because if you say yes to this, you're saying no to something else that might be more important to you. So one of the things that I've even kind of helped clients work on is what is an emergency and what is urgent and what is important. And what is an emergency, urgency, or something of importance to someone else might not have the same worth and value in your life, and that's okay. So then one of those things that you learn to balance your mental health is learning to be okay with things. You are not the superhero at all, and you can't be everyone's everything. So it is learning to give yourself patience, grace, mercy, forgiveness for letting someone down every now and then, or letting things go. Because that's what we have to do sometimes in order to move forward. There are some things that you leave in the background. And sometimes you have to let them go or things go to take better care of yourself. So if you didn't know before, and if you didn't give yourself permission before, we're giving you permission to start to reassess what's on your plate and what can you let go. Also, we'd say setting boundaries. Now, you got family and you got friends. And as you start to make this change and you start to do, as we make this comparison to real physical health and diet, as you go forward, there are changes that you have to make in your diet to maintain. So, right. So now you're not going to happy hour and doing all those things or going to all the restaurants. You might be spending more time on the walking trails, and your family, your friend circle, they adjust to that with no issue because it's for your betterment. And those who do have a problem with it, those are sometimes the people who fade away, because then you really get to see people at their core as you make positive changes in your life. Because as you move forward, as you elevate, everyone is not meant to come with you. So we learn to let others down. We learn to let go. That's one of the things that we have to look at. So what would you be letting go? Sometimes it's abusers, manipulators. Sometimes it's drugs. Sometimes it's alcohol. Sometimes it's a career. Sometimes it's those leeches. Anything that is weighing you down heavy. But guess what? At the end of the day, your real friends, your real circle, your real sister circle, and your homies, they're not going to let you go and walk away, because they're going to support the betterment of you. Those who do, you probably want to start to question what was their role in your life. And then that's when we implement the gift of goodbye. And sometimes that is one of the greatest gifts, because what you lose, it will then be replaced with something different, and oftentimes something better. So that's what I'd add to that list too, Dr. Fargalo, making those replacements. That's important.
That's true. That is so true and so important, because everybody's fire drill is not your fire drill. Everybody's emergency is not your emergency. And as you said, finding your sister circle, we find your tribe. That's what I say. Find your tribe. Your sister circle. With us in our mental health team, the Zeta International Mental Health Team is a tribe, is a sister circle. We don't know how we ended up together like this, because we are all from different places, different ages, but we have meshed together over these few years, that we are supportive, we are always there, we are always cheering each other's on, we're always helpful to each other, and that is a blessing. That is a blessing. It doesn't always happen like that, but sometimes you have to figure it out. You have to figure out who is going to be in your inner circle, in your dot, in your tribe. Who are the members of your tribe? Because if you have someone who is constantly taking, and they don't give back, or they're constantly taking and they don't respect the fact that you need time for you, or that you have your own priorities, then that may not be the person that you want to keep around you. I'm not saying it's the person that you cut them off, that you don't speak to them, that you pass them like a full bus or something. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the people who have influence, the people whose presence you're in, the people who are around you, Those people should be positive. They should respect you. They should encourage you. They should be cheering for you. That the feeling between you and those people should be reciprocal. You can't be the one giving, and they're just taking, because somewhere within you, your mind is going to be objecting to that. Your body might be doing it, but your mind is objecting to it. And the more your body does it, the harder your mind is going to scream about it. And you are going to find yourself feeling very uncomfortable. But I know, and we know, that there is a guilt that's in us as a people. And we have people who tell us what we should do, when we should do it, if we don't do it, what we are. My thing is, and this is just Rosemary, okay? Black people became lazy once we stopped picking cotton for free. That's my thing. And I own it. I think that because I am so tired of hearing how lazy we are and how much, and I know how much we internalize that, so that when people ask us to do this and do that and what is expected of us, then we feel that we have to do it because we got something to prove. You know what? Dust that off, because it's like, think about the source. Where is that coming from? Where is that coming from? I'm working, I'm taking care of my kids, I'm taking care of my family, I'm taking care of my older parents. I'm in school trying to get an advanced degree, trying to better myself. And you ask me to do something extra. And I say, no, I can't do it. And you act like if I'm lazy. Hey, yo,
That's not going to work, Dr. Fargalo. That's unacceptable on any day. I'm thinking one of the things that would be important is for people to just sit and reflect on, look back. We going forward, but sometimes you got to look in the rear view mirror for just a second to see how far you've come. And sometimes you have to sit and look over your life as you start to make your plan to move forward. Because remember, it's a plan. We're not just jumping in some of these things cold turkey. You have to sit and look back sometimes to look at how far you've come and give yourself that moment of gratitude and give yourself that kudos. I did it. In spite of going through, in spite of challenges, in spite of the lonely nights, in spite of the tears that I have cried, in spite of the internal struggles that no one knows about. In spite of the microaggressions, in spite of my coworkers, my bosses being on me and still think that I'm underperforming. In spite of that, you look how far that you have come. And you continue to look at what you need to replace, because that is the important thing in each season that we are in. What do you need to replace? Are you sleeping enough? Because I want to hear, I can't see the chat right now, but I want to hear, how are some of the things, how are you all spending your time as you sit and reflect and assess your plate? What is on your plate? Is it a balanced plate? Have you put too many other people's things on your plate? Have you put too many other responsibilities on your plate? Are you getting the amount of sleep that you need, which we know that we need to continue to move forward? And if you're not getting your amount of sleep, your 7 to 9 hours a day, how are you spending that time? Are you spending that time binge watching all these streaming services? I mean, you might do it every now and then, but if you're spending 3 to 4 hours watching a streaming service to catch up on a TV show, how else can you use that time to do something productive? What information are you taking in repeatedly as you watch that? So instead of giving that streaming service that marathon time, give yourself that time. Instead of spending time with the naysayers, the negative influencers, and all of those people, why not spend your time and replace that with someone who is going to inspire you, encourage you, teach yourself something new, go after that dream or vision that you've always wanted to do, because there's still enough room for all of us. Those toxic friends, what about those? What are we doing with those people? The gratitude journal. And then also, are we taking responsibility? Because that is important as well in moving forward and as we assess what's on our plate. So that is one of the main things that we kind of look at when we are really taking a look at how are we balancing our mental health. And one of the things that we have emphasized over and over again is making your mental health a priority, because at the end of the day, it is your mental health, your self-care, your self-worth, yourself. And as I said last year, the key word in all of this is self, and it is about self-preservation. So a lot of the times the message remains the same, that we're seeking happiness, gratification, and balance in all the wrong places. But everything that you need, every gift that you have is already within you. The question is, what are we going to do to birth it to life so we can maintain the balance that we need as we look forward?
What I was thinking about too, Dr. Coney, is that, and when I say intentional, folks, I mean intentional. This morning, I happened to, the TV's on, I'm really not paying attention, but I kept hearing the same thing over and over and over. So it's not only when you're watching the streaming, the news is so negative and it plays over and over and over. And, even if you're not really paying attention to it, it's still going in. It's there. That negativity is there. So trying to turn it off completely, and do some yoga, do some mindfulness, do some meditation, something that's gonna help you to find inner peace. Because inner peace is so important. When you come to a place where you can just say, and exhale, you know that you are on your way to having some good mental health. When you recognize that there is a need sometimes to just back away from all of it. Just back away from all of it, because the noise is almost constant in your personal life, your private life, at work. Ooh, yes, there is that noise. And when you look at it, why are you doing all this? For example, you have your supervisor or whomever, they want 50 million pieces of paper. This, they want that. What do they even do with that? Why am I hustling to do this for you to put it in a file and close the file drawer? What are we doing? We have to protect ourselves. Just like you don't run out in the cold, with just a light t-shirt or something, that you protect this body. You have to protect that mind. You have to protect that mental part of you and protect it with everything you have. You have to protect it. Because
Dr. Fargalo, I feel like I hear you're saying it's an active process. Because sometimes thinking like diets and stuff, diets, that weight just not going to fall off. If you 150 and you're trying to get 100, you 200, trying to get the 150. It's an active process. That's what I feel like I hear you saying. Tell the people about what you have to do to make it an active process. It's not going to happen on its own.
It's active and it's ongoing and it's consistent. You have to be consistent with it. You can't today Okay, today I'm protecting myself, I'm saying no. And then next week, you saying yes to stuff you know you should be saying no to. It has to be consistent.
Active, ongoing, consistent.
Consistent.
Just like
consistent.
you do your diet. Your diet
Yes.
to drop those pounds or to have a healthy life like you want is active, ongoing, consistent. And that is the same thing that we all want you to do, because there is no health without mental health. And we will continue to come back and continue to drop nuggets, because what we realize as licensed psychologists is that one of the things why we have to keep having these conversations is because it's a lack of implementation. So as many times as we've come here and had different topics, and we know that people still struggle because we see it in our day-to-day practices, it's the lack of the implementation. And in order to implement, it's an active, ongoing, consistent process.
Yes.
Yep.
It
Dr.
is.
Hello, Dr. Coney. I did want to jump in because we do have a question, and then I have a question as well. So the question is, where is the fine line between closing off for self-protection and not being plugged in to what is happening in the world? I want to know what's going on in the world. Also guarding my rest.
I will take part of it, and then of course, Dr. Coney. It is not that you don't want to know what's going on in the world. It's your reaction to it. What are you going to do about it? What are your boundaries in terms of your reaction to what is going on? You cannot fix everything. Just know your limitations. Also, if you are knowing what's going on and you may want to be involved in helping a situation, if your mental health is not good, which means that overall you're not healthy, then what do you have to give? You will not have the best and the most to give, even to a good cause, if you are not mentally healthy. So you have to know, okay, this is a situation, but what can I do with this situation and still maintain my mental health? What is it that I can do? Do I have to? Yes. Do I have to? Go ahead.
I would just add to your point, Dr. Fargalo, it's what it is. Because we know some of the atrocities in the world that's taking place is going to have a different impact on us as we see the ongoing murders, the ongoing racial issues, the things that aren't taking place. So we have to be able to look at it within that framework and understand that that is a normal reaction when you see people who are being victimized, when you see people who are being hurt. And as Dr. Fargalo said, it is what is then your reaction to it, and how much of yourself can you let be taken in? So you might not be able to watch the news all day. You might be able to just get yourself an hour block and watch it midday, watch it at night, figure out what happened during the day, or read up on it. But sometimes it's just too much, the weight of the world and everything that is going on, and it makes you angry. It really does. It brings up these negative emotions, and then they might spiral and trigger something else. And that we understand because we've watched the news collectively to see the things that have happened, and everybody reacts different. But how do we take that and make it into action? So to your point, Dr. Fargalo, I will echo the same sentiments. We limit it. We explore our reaction, we explore what we can do about it, and how we can be active change and realize what the difference is between the things that we are taking in. But we also know that the media is not necessarily set up to share the positive and the balance, because it's slanted with that regard as well.
And isn't it ironic? Isn't it interesting that the media plays up the negative things more than the positive? There are lots of positive things that are going on. You don't see it, or if you see it, you hear about it once, and it's in the I don't know, 50th page of a paper. It's in the smallest print in a magazine, but the horror is up front and in your face.
Mhm.
So that's the other thing that we have to know, that how things are set up and who is controlling what's coming into us. You know, for every kid that holds up somebody and shoots somebody or whatever, there are a whole bunch of kids who are doing well, getting good grades, volunteering in all kinds of organizations. There's a whole bunch of them. We don't see that. We don't know their names. We don't see their faces. And who's doing that? That's the media. That's the media. So we can't buy into all the things that we're seeing all the time. We have to be aware. We have to be aware that this, what we see and what we get from the media is controlled by them. Not necessarily.
That's a whole different conversation, Dr. Fargalo. We could go on a whole nother, because I'm like, we just got off of Human Trafficking Awareness Month and we rung the alarm like, where are our Black and brown girls? But we'll save that conversation for another day so we can talk about some of these other things going on. We can keep going on and on. Sora Brown, what was the second question?
Yeah, because I'm starting to see comments in the chat. I have to start putting myself first. I've learned to start saying no. I lost the other one. I've become more aware of the diet linked to mental health. So in your professions and in your career, since you both work with children, are you starting to see an increase in cases? So me being an educator, I know just in the school setting, I'm definitely seeing an increase of mental health with students, as well as other things that they're being exposed to as children that we just weren't exposed to when we were younger. So what are you seeing in your everyday careers in terms of interacting with children and their mental health?
I am seeing an increase in significant mental health types of issues. And I know that some of it is from exposure, but also we have parents. So I think socioeconomic issues have a lot to do with what I'm seeing with our children. Parents don't have the time anymore to sit and talk with their kids, to sit and watch a show with their kids, to have dinner with their kids. There are so much, it is such a rat race. Everything is so expensive. Salaries have not caught up with the cost of living, especially here in Georgia, for sure. It has not caught up. So you have parents who are working 3 jobs and still hurting to get ends met. When they get home, they are tired. They don't have time to ask a kid, how was your day? They don't have time to help with the homework. They don't have time, they pick up a McDonald's something just to make sure that the kid is fed, not hungry. So there's not that time where they are cooking and talking and fixing a meal together. So there is this split between actually the closeness, between the child feeling safe and secure, between the child feeling loved and protected. So that also, to me, leads to a lot of different behaviors and a lot of mental health issues. We have little kids who are not feeling protected. They feel vulnerable. How do you act when you feel vulnerable? How do you act when you feel that no one really cares? How do you act when you have a game or something and your parent can't be there? How do you feel when you can't tell your parent what has happened in school and it's something that's bothering you? How do you feel when the school requests something that you can't get because money is tight? How do you feel? Those social issues are putting a big strain on the family and on our kids and on our parents. I am seeing not only increasing issues with the students, but I'm seeing it in the parents. I'm having meetings and parents are breaking down and crying. So I have to stop the meeting and deal with them. And I'm feeling that, I'm feeling the frustration. And kids are very intuitive. When you are around kids and you're worried and you are unhappy and you just can't get yourself together mentally, they pick up on that. And there we go. That's what I see. Dr. Coney?
Yeah, I was thinking on my end as we prepare to wrap this up, because they're going to make us come back. They're going to ask us to come back again. I can feel it in my spirit. But just to answer really quick is, what are we seeing in our children? Our children are struggling. They are struggling. Aside from the pandemic, their mental health issues have skyrocketed, and we are seeing it. So we are seeing the increasing rates of suicide, the self-harm, the crisis hospitalizations. We're seeing that breakdown. We're seeing the increase of trauma. And I say all the time, I wish I didn't have a job, but I still stay employed as a psychologist because people are still abusing children. So we still have the physical, sexual, emotional abuse that is taking place, the PTSD, the drugs, the alcohol, the bullying, the domestic violence, and the list goes on and on. But simply put, the numbers for children and the imbalance of their mental health has skyrocketed, and that is a social issue that we need to fix. And that is all.
So, one, I know there are tons of aha moments that have been happening throughout this evening, and either one of you could answer this question. But for those individuals that are sitting at home and they want to start clearing the plate tomorrow, if you could give 1 to 2 small, I know that's hard, but realistic, regardless of what job you're in, that they could start practicing tomorrow, what would it be? So I'll give you a second.
Okay,
I would say work on inner peace. Carve out that little time. If it's just 5 minutes, to just be still, be with yourself, and practice either meditation or mindfulness, or just be quiet. It doesn't matter if it's just 5 minutes. Do that. Take some time for you. All kinds of things can be happening, and your time could be just this. But if this is all you got, then go down right here and take some of that for you.
Mm-hmm. And you have permission to do that. We give you permission, because sometimes people feel as they need permission. And as you do that, I would say the nugget would be, you need to assess your life. You need to realize what's on that plate, because sometimes it's hard to make changes if you don't know what it is exactly that needs to be changed. And as you start to assess and realize what's on your plate and implement some of the strategies Dr. Fargalo said, learn the gift of goodbye. If it's no longer serving you, let it go.
And Dr. Fargalo, Dr. Coney, you were definitely right that we will probably have you back again, because I'm looking in the chat and I'm seeing comments like, I'm grateful I found this invite. This is confirmation for me. I know I'm on the right track. And to close out, I think that's what a lot of us need in the community, especially as Black women. We want to feel as though it's okay for us to put ourselves first. And even though we don't need permission, that's often what we subconsciously want, is for someone to see our needs, see our hurt, see our wants, and to put that as a priority without us having to ask for it. And so definitely want to thank you so much for coming tonight. It was definitely another informative session. We will definitely be looking into having you back again every time you come. We get more guests that want to send questions, talk to you more. And we know that there are 1,000 avenues that we could take this conversation. So definitely appreciate you being here tonight and joining us. So for everyone, if you have additional follow-up questions, please feel free to email, and I will post our emails in the chat, and we will definitely get them over to Dr. Fargalo and Dr. Coney, because we know this is an ongoing discussion. And then hopefully we can look forward to having an additional session later on. So as we continue to move on through the night, what we would like for you to do is take notice of our event for next week. So we talked about the physical health along with the emotional and the mental health. So next week we do have a yoga session. So we are bringing back another guest from our first Health is Wealth series last year. So we will be bringing back Una Bird, who will do a yoga session for us next Monday, same time, 7 p.m. And then also I will be placing a post survey in the chat for everyone to complete before we leave. So again, we appreciate you, Dr. Fargalo and Dr. Coney, for joining us tonight. We appreciate all of our guests for being here with us, and we look forward to seeing you all at the next session and upcoming sessions with our panelists.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure.
And there are some more thank yous in the chat.
Thank you. We are here to help. We are here to serve.
It was an honor, always an honor to serve.
All right, so the post survey is being placed in the chat. So if everyone could complete that before they leave, if you have not scanned the QR code on the screen, we would definitely appreciate that. And then once you have that, we will see everyone hopefully next Monday for yoga.